Deeply Awake, Entangled, The Council of the 12, Triggers, May 5, 2014, by Kathy Vick, at kathyvick.com, lightworkers.org. MacArthur, Deeply Awake at Tumblr. We are in deep gratitude for having been so warmly welcomed this day, and wish to explain, in part, what has been achieved. We do so without the channel's express permission, for she has long been careful in her descriptions. We wish to explain. We speak of her consciousness as she cannot. We have at this time further knowledge to impart so that the full understanding of this mechanism, this miracle in flesh, this achievement, comes into awareness, and so it is. We first say, and the channel now is feeling, shall we language this, scared, and we mention this to amplify a message transmitted through fellow beings, fear and enthralling, life-altering ecstasy are sisters, you see. Fear has long been said to be appropriate in your setting, yes. You may dismiss the common man's worries as a mystic, yes, but there is still a core fear, a root mindset, a seed of discontent. We tell you now, grand discontent. When fear is felt, it may be interpreted as grand excitement. The overlay of dread has been removed, the fear thinking begins to recede, and this fear, your ever companion, even in a state of meditation, it is a messenger. It is an excitation, it is a change, and it is so rarely invited in for a warm meal and a chat. Fear and excitement, yes, they are sisters, and these sisters are fused this day, for your amusement, your delight, your edification. Let us return to this aging system, the one more and more feel is less and less applicable, shall we? You are told that yes, there are things one must be mindful whether one is religious or New Age or atheist. Many disagree about the beingness and benignness of a God, but few take time to notice that even those who turn away have a profound relationship with this thing called God, this thing called higher self, and so, the scurrying begins. The fretting begins. The survival agreement field grips and shakes, dances you about like dolls, here and there. This karmic engine of divine lesson hides that you believe yourself less powerful than that which you encounter. No matter the label, each concludes that Mother Nature, at the very least, is proof that shelter is necessary, death occurs, birth comes, families are made and they vanish. Surely you are at the corporeal whim of nature. The heart stops beating. The eyes close. Breathing stops. These physical things cannot be denied. But why? In the old field, it is due to frailty, fault, nature, time, the gods, Jesus, your worth in terms of surviving children or companies or empires, yes. We are not speaking things which have not already been pointed out, of course. But this mindset is an optional one, we tell you now, and a mindset is that which one accepts, can no longer deny, as incontrovertible. We could, and perhaps in future shall, review a few of these mindsets, for our collective growth and amusement, but let us instead move to a different time, a different moment in the evolutionary path. And so we invite you further in. There was a time, a place, in youth, shall we say, when high physics and high consciousness fused so beautifully, so skillfully and with such profound depth, many are now understanding that this is indeed the call they have known, this lifetime. They understand that it is this family of high consciousness who is awakening and calling out to each other. This explains, to each individual's shock and amazement, that the timing was so precise, for each and every one of you. You are like synchronized swimmers into group consciousness. You have come to see, dear ones, the benevolence and assistance so mind-bogglingly present. In every moment, awake, asleep, in calamity, in extremity, in contentment, in comfort, in confinement, we, your big you, were present. Those who are able are beginning to survey, with a different heart, their past, this story they have been telling themselves, understanding that what is within is without. The channel now fears she is making this up, fears she is grandiose and mentally ill. She is experiencing separation, you see. This illusion of separation, of trebles and octaves and exclusion and initiation. We have, of course, been guiding the messages through time. Many of you have recognized this voice through time, and yet, so obscured it was at times, perceived in so many different ways, that we adjust now our focus to the time of the World War II. Scanning theosophical texts, can you not see how circumscribed, how hopeful and encouraging and entrancing we had to be, how these books of Bailey's, and many others such, and then, moving on later to the work of Jane Roberts, again, universal mind, individuated and tempered to speak to potentials, to the older ones always, who were very close to awakening. Those who were alive today who heard the call, perhaps all those years ago, in youth, in childhood, understand this day that far from being alien to this world, you are instead beginning just to glimpse the enormity of the higher self, speaking to you through channels throughout your incarnations. Your higher selves, the mass or core group consciousness reminding, chiding, encouraging, in the dialect or language or mindset necessary, our message of love, of family, of unity and of home. We can say we are a council, and it is true. We have come to the channel as several such entities, several such brothers and sisters, and in deep reverence, we helped her to part the veil. Speaking as an entity is valid and true, helpful and instructive. But today we come as something else. Something more. We use this channel because she agreed to this path, was eager for it, and is specialized in this process. This is not the first time she has done this. It is not the first time you have done this, Shining One, dear reader, eager listener. She laughed very heartily when she discovered that this writing career she has begged us for is but a metaphor, a beautiful, familiar metaphor. The longing is a remembrance of things to come. Of grand impatience. All understandable. Each of you have these cavernous longings for spirit. She has understood, and we congratulate her for this understanding, that the desire to write is the symbol, her metaphor to be home, to be home. And so we allow the channel to step further aside, you see, for this was a sweet moment for her, and she has not had the opportunity to see this from a distance. Can the same not be said for you? Can you begin, individually and as a people, begin to look back with softer eyes, somehow intuiting with rock-solid faith that the past is no longer the template that should, will, or indeed, dear ones, can be used for the coming days and years and lifetimes, the golden ones before you? This old template, a lower agreement field, oh, it exists, yes, it is here, on this earth, riding with you even now. And so we come to energetics and how to better use your burgeoning gifts, our fine family of enlightened masters, you simple and humble personalities, not a sharp edge on any of you, and please believe this observation, for can it not be intuited already in your hearts? But we digress. A humble, meek, perhaps at times crude or rebellious individual, you venture into the world, and encounter, what? What is it that you encounter? A vivid illustration comes, with then, explanation and to close. Just prior to a peak moment of endless oneness, the channel was disgruntled and feeling conflicted over quite a number of highly charged issues. We had been present, the veil thin, through the night, and she remembered much in the morning of her work, and that which she now applies. In her dreams had been, what was captured, were tiny globules, each with individual cells, and then, to the atomic level. She explored quite thoroughly, and returns with insights she has yet to have as to the spin, and what she now thinks of as the electron popping, she witnessed. She understands and it will come, but you see, we spent, in her memory, most of the night at a very delicate level of quanta. We gave her the experience of scale, moving from atom to simple issues which shocked her awake briefly, worries about her work being too large for the time allotted. Again, we say, grinning, we were playing with scale, but made it physical, with an intermediary phase within her quantum biology. We mention this, and explain too, that we did not step our energy away as usual in the morning, to add a dimension of family to an otherwise quite technical talk. Modulating energy, dear loves, becomes integral to the comfort and joy of all. And so we continue. Her son assists her in energy modulation. Being receptive, he obliges and enjoys these expanded states, though he does fall asleep in this energy, we note, and bring to the channels, and your own, attention. Become aware, we ask, of your effect on those around you, their energetics. We greet those who understand, who empathize, and those who think this must be poppycock. And we continue. And now we bring your attention to the dissonance. With this altered awareness, she looked at her home and understood that her choice in living habits is not bringing her pleasure, but she has, until very recently, considered herself blocked. Shame ensues, for having a block. The block perpetuates itself. She has been observing this for some time. This conundrum is her last, the timing is hers. We do say, this dissonance, no longer an esteem issue but a mechanical, living doing issue, this dissonance was not dealt with, acknowledged, languaged, loved into awareness, released. We stress here an answer to a question she had this day: what does one do when no matter what they try, they still feel off? No matter what, even the dictation is quiet. Then what, then what? No answer came, and the dance became more fervent. What is real, what is not, what is true, what is not, what is something that feels right, and what is not? And with this, synchronicity overtook, the correct note struck, and blissful awareness obtained. How is it a simple song, note, tone, word, image, sight, might induce, for you, a state of ecstatic bliss? Have you experienced this, our dear ones? We hope you have found your treasures, or are beginning to. Each of you have hidden many, so many, and oh, they are beautiful, and oh, such joy in discovery. We give a story to you of a man who had been haunted, since childhood, with a certain image. He could not language the experience, but he had dreams as a youth, and these continued on into maturity, of a certain shape, one he couldn't seem to be able to draw, mold or describe. The shape was mesmerizing. It somehow contained everything he knew and had forgotten, and he burned for this image, at times, this shape, this awareness, in youth especially. Easy to access, and then natural to grieve, this object, this shape, seemed to be everything, it seemed to contain and give and know everything, his dreams sometimes whispered, and it was beautiful and it was home. The boy called it home, and when he dreamed of it, he felt restored. He longed to have this object in his hands, something he could replicate and place on his desk. He thought, if there were a way to make such an object, then I could look at it and remember. I could remember it always and never forget that feeling. As time passed for this individual, he had fewer and fewer dreams of this object, and he realized, late in life, that there was once a feeling he had known, and had loved, but could no longer quite remember. One day, while on a trip, on vacation, he sat down for a meal. His waiter was oddly alive, very oddly alive, our friend thought. He was intrigued by this waiter, and looked at him more observantly. He saw something glittering around the waiter's neck. When the waiter bent down to pick up the menus from the table, the man saw it. Dangling around the neck of this odd little waiter was the shape, the object, the feeling, he could never shake, but had forgotten. Speechless, the man drew himself toward this token, and with a silent request, our friend fumbled with a crystalline star tetrahedron. There are many symbols, dear ones, but this holds not only special meaning, but tremendously potent power, ancient power, hidden power for those who can perceive the old ways. Our friend asked the stranger about his necklace, and the man told him a smattering about sacred geometry. Enough to intrigue, with a permission the waiter had intuited before the chat began. The waiter suggested a few websites. Our old friend was never the same. The root fear, the old agreement field, the passing way, dear ones, is that you must fear the unexpected. The unexpected is one of the main attractions and sole benefits of being an incarnation. The root fear is not that the unexpected will come, because all biology understands this, on a DNA level, but what comes is neither cooperative nor benevolent, that it must be guarded against because it has come to be known as threat, the unknown, change. Threat. The root fear is that when the unexpected comes, one will not handle it well, it will end poorly, and, ultimately, none of this will end well. And, by the way, this is it. So if it is going well, move heaven and earth to keep it this way, and if things are going poorly, in your esteemed assessment, then it is tragedy and it is calamity, because this is all there is. And everything counts, dramatically and fatally. We exaggerate, but we do so to stress the understanding that the fear is that you are not bigger or more clever or less quick than that which is out to get you, and in this agreement field, there are seemingly valid and verified, proven things, so to say, out to get you. It may be neighbors, it may be a nation, it may be the devil, it may be cancer, it may be misbehavior and bad choices, it may even be what some call ego, but undefended, needing to defend. This has been the way of it for ages and ages. Struggle. Domination. Win, lose, take, give, pain, relief. Duality. Duality itself. Grand it is, beautiful and ripe for exploration and celebration, we suggest, rather than the drab, tight-feeling states induced by fear. Here, loved ones, is what we wish for you to understand this fine day. In this reality it is May, in 2014. We greet the ones who join us, and are glad you're here. We speak now, of course, to those who have not yet Googled New Age. But today, this particular message is intended for those who find modulation issues the subject most keen to their interest at this time, who are well versed, who are getting the hang of this new energy. For this group has been waiting steadfastly and eagerly to talk one to the other. There are many who understand they now stand in a family of light, stationed through the globe, and those who can, do see this sight, for it is glorious. Posts, pillars, columns of light, the center point of each, the cosmos, and these lights are now fusing, greeting one another, blending, more than ever before, loved ones. Oh, such a sight you are creating, such a pleasure it is to witness your colors. You understand, do you not, that levels of consciousness are vibrational states, frequency states, and these states of bliss some are aware of now, they can be triggered so easily now, we assure you, and yours is but to discover your necklaces, your keychain fobs, your special tones or songs or icons or colors or trees, these triggers you so lovingly hid from yourself for this time. The magnetics did not allow the plasticity of vibration some are experiencing, and we wish to draw your attention to the idea of vibration, or frequency, tone or pitch, rather than dimension. Dimensions are not known to be progressively or regressively inclusive. They are linear, are they not? With dimensions as a base thought construct, there is more ease in seeing hierarchies, with the implied earned status hierarchical systems tell you not to notice. We say there is another way, the way of the star, the way of the heart, the way of bliss, induced by some, now, with a simple incantation. Potent, these triggers are potent and sturdy, in this new energy. And so, we take this opportunity to ask you to begin to trust yourselves a bit more in this day. Understand the great courage it takes this soul, to speak her interior for the greater good, as you allow your interior to become exposed to the love that you have always been. There really is nothing to hide, and we tell you this day, with the light ever brightening, with this ever strengthening swell of high physics, and high consciousness we are aware of in our incarnate family, we ask for you to honor yourselves as we honor you. We tell you that this expansion will become the norm, not a state triggered by a song or chant or word, which then seems to recede, but a constant ribbon with which you each will write your new life, your new lives. Neighbors, laborers, mothers and fathers, doctors and nurses and hairstylists and interpreters and massage therapists and Reiki workers and dock workers, tribesmen and farmers, children and leaders. Do you understand there is no division of class, creed, race or language separating one from the other now? You are one, and you are beginning to appreciate a glimmer, and only just that, of what is to come, and we say, this lifetime or next, because we know there are many who are enjoying playing with probabilities of what they might want to accomplish next lifetime, playing with the mind of God in man, in hand with a pure mind of God each of you are, not only in sleep but while waking, while showering, while eating, indeed each are, and some are choosing to embody. there is no barrier. There are no blocks, dear ones, only doorways, gates, portals, now. We welcome you home. Selah.